Hi, Sydney. Thank you so much for joining me on the Hollywood Lowdown and having this conversation today. My goal with this podcast is to showcase different voices, opinions, and personal stories from women, people of color, and those in the LGBTQ plus community. So I really appreciate you willing to spend your Sunday with me all the way from sunny Costa Rica. Oh my
Heck
gosh.
yeah.
Hello. Okay, so I
Hello.
want to start from the beginning. I want to get to know you, your story. I want to share your story from I honestly want to know who Sydney Duncan-Stanford is. I know you to be a strong voice in the community for not only LGBTQ rights, but human rights, and a voice for survivors, which I will just give this trigger warning to anyone watching. We might get into that, and so it might be a sensitive topic and conversation. But you're also a wife, a dog mom, a business owner, a
Yes,
model, and you're living your best life outside the US. So, how are you? What's
I
going
am.
on?
Well, hello. I'm doing well. I'm Sydney,
Big
guys, as
intro.
you just mentioned. Like, hello. Yeah, I don't even know where to dive in. I guess like I'll start from the beginning, kind of, sort of. I really got into like my work on social media and just being who I am through advocacy for survivors. That was something very big for me because I myself am a survivor of abuse. I till this day have to deal with my horrible fun rapist. Just so great, just love that for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still have to deal with that, and so I forever will be advocating for survivors to not have to go through the things that I have to go through, whether it be dealing with legal stuff, which can be its own trauma, or just finding ways to work through it and get back to who you are and not allowing that to take over your life. That's been a very big part of who I am and what I do and what I talk about on social media. Outside of that, I am married to my wife, who I love dearly, and we have
Aw.
2 dogs. Loving our life out here in Costa Rica. We moved because it is just a little bit questionable in the States right now. My parents live here. They've lived here for about 6 years. So I was like, you know what? I need to be close to my family if like shit is to hit the fan, which it's currently hitting the fan. So I'm
Girl,
like, I just
yeah.
need to be near. Yeah, I'm watching the flights coming back and forth dwindle. My parents are a little older. God bless them. So, we were like, this is probably the best place for us to be. And also just like as queer people, we want to be somewhere that we feel safe, if I'm being very honest. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was going to ask, so how is it being queer, woman of color in Costa Rica?
Honestly, I don't feel like I'm like any of those things, but when I'm in the which sounds weird, but like when I'm
Yeah.
in the States, I feel it. Like it's
Okay.
like it's palpable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus like here, we're just people in the
Yeah.
grocery store who are married. Like
Yeah.
nobody thinks twice about it. It's not like I don't know. It just doesn't matter out here. And there's like a level of peace that we have too, because I don't know. I mean, obviously it's a privilege to be out here. So we acknowledge that. And we also acknowledge us coming out here affects like the people who live here. But at this point, I feel like queer people in the States are becoming refugees of some sort, if I'm
Yeah.
being honest.
No, no,
So,
yeah.
just for our mental health, we really needed to get the fuck out. And I'm
Mm.
sure a lot of other queer people are looking for their way out right now as well, just because the energy is different. And like I was saying, there is a privilege of not getting to like, or having to, I guess, watch everything because it's not directly affecting me at the very moment.
Yeah.
But it's really helped my mental health like a lot.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that.
And we're probably going to just go into like a marketing business together out here,
You should.
just so you know.
Yes, yes. No, because I was like looking
Yeah.
on your bio earlier too, and I saw like Laney Marketing. So if you want to talk about that,
Yeah.
I would love to learn about that.
Heck yeah. So my wife and I are in our process of starting our marketing business, which is Laney Marketing. And we're really excited on just like shooting properties. We've worked with a couple properties, done their websites, their photography, drone shots, all those things. We want to do weddings too. We just want to be able to capture moments out here. There are so many beautiful moments out here, and we got all our cameras and have been practicing. So I'm just really excited for that to take off and just to have our own thing, because working for people is not fun.
I know. And so I was going to also ask about that. Like life of a content creator. If you're still doing it, what advice you have? I know like the whole TikTok craze, everyone is kind of blowing up, and then I think everyone's kind of seeing those effects and the withdrawals from it, and yeah. So
Mhm.
how is I guess life as a content creator, because that's kind of where I met you, I feel like, or was like
Yeah.
introduced,
Through
in that
work,
part of it.
honestly.
Yeah.
Through marketing.
Yeah, through marketing.
I've like headed more to like the corporate side. I work
Yes.
for a really amazing company right now called Mood, and they are a cannabis company, federally legal. Shout out to Mood.
Yes.
They're really, really great. As you know, haven't always had the greatest, healthiest work environments. I think that just kind of comes with the par of being in marketing. Like, you never know what the fuck you're gonna get or who you're gonna get. This has been the happiest I've been while in the corporate world. And the reason I kind of took a moment to take a step back, and I feel myself slowly creeping back into social, but I took a step back from social because I was kind of tired of sharing so much of my life. I feel like I had social for a trauma reason. It was to protect me during like a really scary case that I was going through with like my abuser, and just to have a voice for myself. And then after I finished those things, I'm like, I don't know what to do. Is like, what do I do now? Like, I'm not that I'm not traumatized anymore, but like I'm trying to heal and nobody wants to see me heal.
Yeah.
They would rather see like your trauma and your pain and the bad stuff that's happening. And I just wasn't in that place anymore. And I didn't really know how to express myself on my platform. People didn't want to hear about those things or talk about those things. So I tried to share it a little bit, but I was like, you know what, this is for me. This is private. This is my healing. And that was another thing too, is I feel like I kind of disrespected myself with social media. Like I shared way too freaking much. Like, and I feel like, when you're young, like, and especially in a situation like that, you're just going to overshare because like, that's what you think is correct. And I've realized that oversharing is honestly being so disrespectful to your own privacy. So now I've learned how to have socials and have boundaries and have both. And I'm kind of slowly entering back into it, like with a healthier mindset and not a survival mindset, which has been very, very interesting, honestly. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that is interesting because from the outside, looking in, I thought it was really healing, like for you to, I think you're like, sorry, I'm not gonna get emotional about it. But you're like, but like, I've never seen like anybody talk about it. And like, I think hearing you talk about it and share your story, it actually like really helped me. I'm sorry that, you felt like that you overshared, and I'm sorry that kind of like took away like your privacy. But just know that it helped, others and me.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that so much. Moments like this makes the vulnerability worth it, in my opinion. I like would never take anything back about how vulnerable I was or like honest I was, because I know that I'm not the only one. And honestly, that's the only thing that kept me from like losing my shit, was knowing I was not the only one. I was like, okay, we're like, we're not insane. Like we all go through, it's like the same cycle of like healing almost for every survivor. And it may look a little different, but like we all have a story and feelings that people probably will never understand unless they've been through it. And yeah, it's just a very special, unwantedly community that we have had to build with each other. And I'm proud to be part of it. Sad to be part of it, but also proud to be a part of it, because all of the people who are in this community are amazing.
This being the Hollywood Lowdown, I guess we can kind of segue into pop culture and abusers in Hollywood.
I feel everything going backwards. I feel like it is very regular for people now to be abusers, as it is very regular to be a rapist, and for people to turn it into, oh, like he's just flirty or she's just flirty or they're just this or they're just like, I really have a hard time with people who like will condemn someone for listening to R. Kelly, but then sit there and listen to Chris Brown and then not draw the comparisons. And granted, I will say that Chris Brown has had a lot of his stuff covered up. I do think a lot of his abuse has been towards men, honestly, like, because Rap Sheet is a lot of men that he's abused. And I feel like because it's men, people choose to turn a blind eye to it, like, oh, they got into a little altercation, they scrapped. Like, no, he is a serial abuser. And I feel like the fact that people choose to ignore that so they can enjoy his music is just, picking and choosing.
Yeah.
We pick and choose. This is the same thing that people did with R. Kelly for quite some time, until it was so egregious that they just couldn't do it anymore. So like, I guess the standard now for people is they have to be absolutely egregious for them to stop listening to them, which is so sad, because it's like, how much abuse, how how much has to happen for someone to be like, okay, yeah, you know what, morally, I don't want to listen to this. But the minute that I hear him, I do my best to make sure that I skip, because I can't imagine how the people who have been affected by him feel about people ignoring their pain. I can't imagine, because I have been through that. So it's like, I will never actively do that to somebody else. And again, that's one of those moments where it's like, it requires being a survivor to understand these things and how it would feel, you know, like to put those shoes on. I did go through a phase where I was really angry. Like if someone mentioned somebody that had to do with what I went through, I would be so upset. If they praised them, I would be so upset. I had to correct them immediately. But I also had to teach myself that it is a blessing that they are so ignorant. Yeah. It is a blessing for them that they don't know these things. And I would never wish it on my worst enemy. So I don't wish that you would understand. I just need to know that you don't. And I'm going to have to move myself over here because I can't expect you to understand. And that has really been how I've had to like move with relationships in my life, is like with love and understanding. Like I'm fuck off. I'm going to go do what I need to do. Because, yeah, it really, really changes how you view people, your perspective on people when you go through something like that. Who stays around, who shows up, who believes you when you tell them.
Yeah.
There is no good way of like telling people hard stuff. I think that there's only a good way to handle it. There's never going to be a good way to tell something difficult. It's more on how people receive it, you know, like, and I think that is something that needs to be taught, is like people knowing how to receive difficult information and not immediately get defensive or immediately, you know, like choose to believe what is easiest for them to believe, because oftentimes that's what people are going to do. I think that we need to be taught from a younger age to stand in the uncomfortable and understand that, you know, just have understanding of what it feels to be uncomfortable and then be able to handle uncomfortable situations. I really perceive myself as a mirror, and nobody's going to like me if they don't like themselves. And that is what I've had to understand about people, is like, oh, you don't fuck with me? That's crazy, because I've never said anything but truth about you. And I will always stand in that.
Let's get into, I guess, a lighter note. Let's talk about your coming out story and meeting your wife.
Actually, crazy enough, I knew from very young. Yes.
Didn't we all?
I knew from a very young age. Unfortunately, I found myself in some very strict, I would say, in my opinion, conservative Christian schools, that I was taught that that was a sin from a very young age, from any point of curiosity, and also being feminine presenting and never wanting to change in that form. I just thought that dating men was what I was supposed to do, and was supremely unhappy the whole time. Like, and always that. Specifically, emotionally, it was just a fucking shit show. And then I ended up going to rehab, and it was more like a mental health rehab. Met my first girlfriend there. That was, as all lesbian relationships the first time go, was just like traumatic breakup, like everybody just, nobody talked to anybody type shit. But that was my first. And then after that, I was then initiated into the lesbian community. After that level of trauma. And I probably dated for like, I want to say like 2 weeks or so, like just chit chatting with people. Was it 2 weeks, 2 months, something like that. Not too long. And then I met my wife like immediately via Instagram. And she slid in my DMs. And yeah, it was just love at first DM. I don't know. She claims I gave her a hard time. I was trying to give her a hard time. But anyways, it was love at first DM, and that's how we met. And we have literally been inseparable since, like, basically moved in immediately. And actually, a lot of people don't know this. We were kind of talking about like the government situation and stuff like that. We got married, what was it, 2022? Sorry, we have 2 wedding dates. I don't even know. We got married, but I'm an old married person, guys. But anyways, we got married. There was already a threat on gay marriage going on at that time. And we ran, and we quietly didn't tell nobody, just got married at a 1-hour courthouse, because we were really concerned that like when we wanted to go and do it, well, I mean, we were already ready to as well, but we were concerned that when we wanted to go and do it, that like the courthouses would be packed, because people would be coming to California trying to get married, because if they can't get married in their state, they're going to come to another state to make it happen, which I don't blame them. I would do the same thing for love, so I get it. And then she gave me a second proposal too, which was really cool.
Proposal on the beach. Oh my, is that the second one?
Yeah, that was the second
Oh my
one. I was so
God.
surprised. Like, she really got me good, honestly. So it was, I don't know, it's just been perfect ever since we moved out here. We have our little house out here, and we're just happy. 5 years together, we haven't left each other's side. Also, I think like the good and like the part of marriage that I personally needed was that stability of like knowing that things cannot be okay, but will always be okay. That's something that like I feel like I struggled with all of my life in general. So like it's been really healing for me to have this in this relationship, because that's just been a constant and like all of my relationships, unfortunately, not even purposely, but like even like with my family and stuff. So it's been very nice to have like that stability of like everything's fine, you know?
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
appreciate you, taking your
I appreciate
Sunday
you
from
too,
Costa
girl.
Rica to like spend with me.
Absolutely.